Welcome back to Explaining Everything, the channel where curiosity gets mixed with science, sprinkled with humor, and served slightly overcooked. Today's question comes from one of our brilliant viewers, Mika Plays Stuff. Thanks for the suggestion, Mika Plays Stuff. You asked, how do scientists develop vaccines? And honestly, that's the perfect question. How do we go from some tiny germ causing chaos to a vial of protection that doctors proudly jab into your arm? Today, we're taking you inside the labs, the experiments, the science, and the superhuman levels of patience required to create a vaccine. So grab a snack, keep your sleeves rolled down for now, and let's explore how vaccines are made. Right here on Explaining Everything. Every vaccine story begins the same way, with something making humans miserable. Scientists don't just wake up one morning and say, "You know what I feel like doing today? Spending years fighting a microscopic villain." No. First, they have to figure out exactly which microbe is causing trouble. It's a little like detective work, except the suspect is invisible, fast, and does not respond well to interrogation. Researchers take samples from sick patients and begin identifying the specific virus or bacterium behind the outbreak. Once they spot the culprit, they study it under powerful microscopes that make tiny monsters look like massive alien blobs. But their goal isn't to admire it like artwork. They want to understand how this sneaky thing gets into the body, what part of it the immune system reacts to, and how dangerous it is. Think of this like the villain backstory portion of the movie, where the narrator explains why the bad guy is evil. Except instead of tragic childhood trauma, the reason is usually something like it reproduces way too fast. Once the villain is understood, scientists can begin planning how to stop it. And that brings us to the next step in our microscopic adventure. Once scientists know the enemy, they start hunting for just the right part of it to show the immune system. It's like introducing someone to the worst troublemaker in town, but only showing them a photo instead of letting the troublemaker actually kick their door down. Researchers look for the specific proteins or structures on the virus or bacteria that the body can learn to recognize without putting the person at risk. Scientists don't want confusion. They want the immune system to learn exactly what to attack. Once the ideal target is found, the next challenge begins. Figuring out how to safely deliver this information to the body in a way that teaches it without letting the germ actually cause disease. This is the phase where scientists start transforming theory into something that can exist in a tiny bottle. There are several ways to build a vaccine, and each method is basically a different style of harmlessly showing the body what the enemy looks like. Some approaches weaken the virus so much it can barely do anything, kind of like taking a supervillain and removing their powers, their gadgets, and their motivation. Other methods kill the germ completely, but still use its remaining pieces as a training dummy. More modern approaches skip using the germ directly and instead teach your body to make one tiny, harmless part of it, like handing your cells a blueprint and saying, "Build this weird protein so your immune system can practice beating it up." No matter the method, everything that happens in this phase is extremely precise. Scientists spend long hours testing, adjusting, checking, and triple-checking that the vaccine behaves exactly as intended. And before you picture a chaotic lab scene with explosions, rest assured, the only explosions happening here are the emotional ones when experiments fail. Once the formula is ready, it's time to test it in living beings, very carefully. If scientists could just say, "Looks good, ship it," things would be much easier. But that's not how science works, thankfully. First, the vaccine is tested in controlled lab studies to make sure it's safe enough to try in humans. After that, volunteers step in. These volunteers are incredibly brave because agreeing to be part of a study is basically saying, "Yes, I will let you teach my immune system something new, and I trust you not to ruin my week." Early tests check safety, later tests check the immune response, and even later tests examine how well the vaccine actually prevents illness. Each step gets larger, more rigorous, and more dramatic. The process takes time because scientists don't want surprises later. They want to be absolutely certain that when this vaccine reaches millions of people, it works exactly as promised. If there's even the hint of a weird side effect, everything pauses while researchers investigate. The immune system is complicated, and scientists treat it with the same respect you'd give a grumpy cat. Extremely cautious optimism. After mountains of testing, data, paperwork, analysis, and more paperwork, the vaccine goes to regulatory agencies for review. These agencies are basically the strict teachers of the science world, the ones who carefully check every detail with the energy of someone grading essays after drinking far too much coffee. If everything checks out, the vaccine gets approved and production begins. Factories start making huge batches under incredibly sterile conditions. Workers wear so much protective gear, they look like marshmallows with job titles. The vaccine is bottled, labeled, tested again, boxed, and shipped off to clinics, hospitals, and health centers around the world. And finally, after all those years of research, development, testing, approval, and manufacturing, someone like you sits down, rolls up a sleeve, and gets a tiny jab. That tiny jab represents teamwork across the entire scientific world. And the best part? Your immune system now has the cheat codes for fighting that germ, all thanks to thousands of people working behind the scenes. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.